Hello, everyone. My name is Commissar Hecht, and welcome to another edition of Warhammer Painting. I've been kind of dorking around with the light, trying to get the light to work, but every single time I turn it on, it like blacks out um, the screen. So what I'm probably gonna have to end up doing is maybe put higher wattage bulbs in there. But anyway, welcome to a painting stream, painting and chill, paint and chill stream. Actually, we'll probably just do that and just have to deal with it. All we could do is we'll just rotate it like that, and then as we need it, we rotate it back, or something like that. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Oh man, why is it so stiff? There we go. It's a little bit better. Just, just have to play around with it, I guess. Anyway, we are going to be painting some Astra Militarum and finishing up the browns, going on to the backpacks, and then the leather ammo pouches, and I think, yeah, I did, I think, a dark green for the rope. The cup I hadn't decided yet, but still. But yeah, just get that, get the finer details done. Definitely need to do the Vox caster and square that away. With every charity channel, or with every or with every stream, it is go. I want to try and do this with the charity channel. Or sorry, with every stream, it is a charity stream. I want to turn my streams into straight a charity channel, or turn all my channels into charity channels, YouTube and Twitch. So let's just throw that sucker on there. There's the donation link, and you can see it up in the in the right hand up there. The donation link for that, and yeah, it's it's the UN it's the UNHCR. Um, Basically, with the ongoing crisis in Afghanistan, um, Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Djibouti, and other conflict zones around the world, millions of people have been displaced. Those who need help and assistance, the UNHCR um, basically provides food, shelter, and all that stuff to um, refugees. And the biggest, I guess, the biggest issue why I'm championing this and why I've championed it for so long is because it's kind of near and dear to my heart. Um, I dealt with refugees in Africa. We went to a orphanage, and we went to, and there were refugees that would always come by the base that we were at, and it kind of left a very indelible mark on me. So I try and do what's right. Um, and you know the Air Force pays my bills, so I'm trying to raise money for the people that actually need it. And I figured the easiest way to do that is to raise money for the actual UNHCR, which is uh, the High Commissioner of Refugees. That's the actual organization. Um, so um, that's kind of been the goal. Um, is to raise the money. You know, $5,000 is a lot, and we've been sitting at 225 for quite a while. Um, and people have donated in the past very, very generously. Um, so that's it's kind of been a passion of mine to try and do good. Um, uh, so that's my hope. Anyway, um, let's get into it, shall we? Today, like I said, we're going to finish these guardsmen. We're not going to finish them, but we are going to finish the backpacks, the satchels, and all that stuff. So, and the straps. So, we're going to start with some good old-fashioned uh, desert yellow, if the camera would cooperate. Actually, if I can get my finger out of there. Come on. This is an older paint pot from when I started playing 40K. An old Games Workshop paint pot. So some desert yellow. Get that squared away. And what we're looking at are these. Basically, if I can get the camera to zoom in, it's the leather straps, or it'll be fabric, I guess, nylon straps, as it were. The leather is going to be like the pouches and all that stuff. That's not the one I wanted. This one is the one I wanted. Yeah, there we go. And what we're doing is we're just getting a little bit on the brush, just a tiny bit. You're probably not going to see it because the camera's not cooperating, but a tiny bit of the brush. Alright, just a tiny bit, ever so slightly. Alright, and we're just going to gently, as you can see, we're just going to gently coat. Gently coat. I might have to go back a few times. Just to make sure that it's an even coat. But that's okay. You know, a job is worth doing right the first time, but to get the results that you want, right? You should always aim to try and, you know, if you have to go over it again, which is what we're going to do. Just gently coat a little bit. Shake the pot up a little bit too. Gently coat. Again, a little bit over the brush. So it's like gently coating the tip of the brush, as you can see. And this is a fairly old brush. This one's pretty beat up, but I like some of the older brushes. I think the quality was a little better. So you just gently brush. Sometimes you got to rotate the bristles to make sure that it's working the way that it should, which is fine. And you know, you can dab or stroke. I try to make it as uniform as possible. Just tighten up that bristle. In order to make sure that it Make sure that it lines up the way that it should, and then deposits the paint the way that it should. And sometimes that doesn't work out, which is okay. There's always going to be there's always going to be room for improvement. And that's the beautiful thing about painting guardsmen and really painting anything, is that you're always going to be improving. Doesn't matter if it's miniatures, doesn't matter if it's landscapes on a canvas. It doesn't matter if you're doing portraits of people. And any mistakes that you make along the way, you can correct. And that's, honestly, I think that's one of the better things about why I enjoy painting so much. Is just that you can make mistakes, and as sometimes frustrating as it can be, because you always want to do, whenever you start something, you always want to give it your best the first go around. And I fall victim to that very much. That desire to basically be perfect that first go around. Ooh, this is an old Chaos Black, and unfortunately it's a little dry. So what we're going to do to recover it is we're going to use some Larman's Medium. Pop that sucker open. Oh yeah, the viscosity is it's not looking so hot. So we just dump just a tiny bit in. A little bit of surgery. A little bit of recovery. And we shake. What you want to hear is it mixing. And then when you pop it back open, it kind of ooze. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And there you have it. And then you wet your brush. Make sure that it's a little wet, and then you just tap it in, and then you do a little test. And it's kind of where we want it, but it's a little too much on the brush, which is fine. It's fine. You'll get it. Let's clean that up a little bit. You'll get it on the brush occasionally, or sometimes you'll get too much. You'll pull too much, but that's okay. It's all right. I should be using somewhat of a paint palette for this, but at the same time I want to be making sure that I get just enough. So I'm using the rim of the paint pot, which is, it does its job. That back down. And then we just go over the spots that the tan kind of went over. And you try and be as precise and as careful as you can, because you don't want to, in fixing the mistakes that you see, you don't want to paint over your progress, because that has happened, and oh boy, is that sometimes frustrating. frustrating. But the good news is that despite the fact that it's slightly frustrating, you learn from it. And then you go, oh, well, I'll not do that again. So there you go. Nice and easy. Okay, now that that's taken care of, clean up. And you always want to have two water pots, or at least for me, you always want to have two water pots. One for your metallics and then one for your regular paints. The reason why is because metallics have that glittery substance in it, and it does tend to taint the paint a little bit. Alright, so now that that's taken care of, what do we want to do? I did say we should use the brown for the leather, so did I use Rhinox? I want to say I did. I want to say I used Rhinox hide for that. We are gonna see. Okay, yeah, that one's open. I want to say we used Rhinox hide. So what we're gonna do? Oh, I was also gonna do the backpacks. Well, we could do the leather pouches first. There aren't that many on these models, and I'll just do that. Plus, they're smaller, and get it out of the way and done with. I want to say we used Rhinox hide. Not. It's a little darker. Okay, so it's not Rhinox hide. Not Rhinox hide. Was it Doombull? Because it certainly doesn't look like Mornfang. We'll put that right there. Let's do Doombull. Let's see if it's Doombull. It actually kind of looks more like Doombull, which is fine. Just popped in. Happy to hear a good piece of advice. Never thought about two water pots myself. Thanks for the tip. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I find that when you're dealing with like tin bits, right? Or its newer counterpart, I think it's called Screaming Skull, or not Screaming Skulls, Warlock Bronze, something like that. I think I've got a. There it is. It's right here. Yeah, Warlock Bronze, right? So if you have the older pots, tin bits or Warlock Bronze, right? They've got this. I'll be able. Maybe I can show you what I'm talking about. But they've got this little glitter style flecking inside the actual paint. This silver. Might have to rotate the. There we go. You see that silver? How it's got some flecking on it, that makes it look shinier, right? It's little mini glitter, for lack of a better word, right? And what that does is it floats around in your water pot, and it doesn't always, but can taint your brush as you're cleaning it off and applying non-metallic colors. So just something that I've come to work with. You don't have to follow my advice. It's just I give it because I think it works for me. And then, ooh, no, that's not it. And then, what have you. But I'm always glad to help. I'm always glad to help with that. But thank you. I use a lot of Storm's Host Silver and Retributor armor. Good thing to think about. Well, yeah, of course, of course. So, I think we use Doombull. I want to say we use Doombull. So let's pop that open. And again, just get a little bit on the brush, just a little bit to coat it. Alright, wet it a little bit, test it out. Oh, that's a little watery, but that's okay. It's just a tiny bit watery, but we can adjust. And yeah, that's the leather we're looking for. That's the leather color we're looking for. That's exactly the color that we need. As you can see, I'm just lightly rotating the model around in my hand. Now, someone asked me earlier today on my Instagram, do I paint on the sprue all the time? And the answer is partially. Depending on the model and depending on how much it takes, like the piece, I would paint on the sprue. A good example, actually, and I'll show you this. I'll show you what I mean as a good example. So, yeah, we'll use the Voxcaster. So, the Voxcaster, right? And some of the rifles. The rifles I've painted. Actually, you probably can't see it because of the light, but let me put my... There we go. The rifles I've painted in the Voxcaster. I've painted that on the sprue. Okay? Because it gives me, it gives me enough control as I'm rotating it back and forth, trying to manipulate, right, that particular piece. And I don't have to worry about missing cracks and crevices. So, as I paint, right, on the sprue and rotate, that's where I paint on the sprue. Whereas compared to this guy, I'll rotate on the, I'll put him partially together, spray him partially together, and do that on the base. Right? Occasionally I'll use one of these. But that's, long story short, depending on the piece, for example, a Voxcaster or a Lost Gun, I'll paint on the sprue, and then if it's legs or torso, I'll paint on the base. I'll partially assemble. So that's how that works. It's piece dependent. So now we look at the work that we did, and it turned out pretty well. I like it. And it turned out bad. No, not bad. And it turned out not bad. That's what I meant to say. Not bad. So we want to repeat that success. get the brush a little wet. Get a little on the brush, and then move on to the next pouch. We just want to make sure. Sometimes we have to roll those bristles together because they want to fan out and become unruly, which is great for terrain. Let me tell you, a fanned out brush for terrain is fantastic, no pun intended. But what you want to do is you want to get that brush as tight as possible for the bristles because you want to control it. It's almost like a pen. And particularly if you're writing script or dotting eyeballs. So for smaller details, you really want to control where those bristles are going. And if they start fanning out, you just take a moment and readjust. Sometimes you got to use the palm of your hand to just other times you can use it on roll it on the paper towel. And there you go. One done. 25 more to go. I'm gonna go get some water real quick. what I did for the sergeants. I think we got a sergeant. Hold on. The one thing that I will say about Imperial Guard, even though I love the Army, is that if you want to do it uniform, it's really difficult because you got to remember every single unit that you painted. And sometimes it's like, well, I can't remember what I did for that particular paint or that particular model. So you gotta, what's a desert yellow? Okay, so we're not done with that paint just yet. And then the satchel was all leather. That's alright. We can go back. You can always go back and tidy things up. That's why I play Chaos. No one cares if they all look the same. Well, the like I said, I love guardsmen. I really do. That was my first Imperial. My first army was Imperial Guard, and I fell in love with the fact that it was the common man up against an uncaring universe. Um, they're not blessed with superpowers or or genetic enhancement, or at least not for some of them. You could say that, well, the Tempestus Scions, they get some gene therapy, but it's like nothing. It's paltry compared to like the Space Marines. Um, the Kazarkin, the stormtrooper, any Imperial Guard stormtrooper that goes through either the Scholar or Pagenium is or was from Cadia. They have some sort of like gene therapy and enhanced bionics or enhanced gland growth in their bodies, you know. But at the end of the day, they're still baseline human. Just because they have that stuff coursing through them does not make them like on the level of Space Marines. So, but then the rest of the Joe Blow guardsmen, your common grunt, is not going to receive the same kind of you know genetic gifts and pluses that stormtroopers, scions, and Kazarkin get. So I did fall in love with the Guard. That was like I said, that was my first army. And the fact that it was just baseline humans, that's what really sold me on it. They weren't super soldiers or the little guy versus the absolute terror of the rest of the galaxy. Yeah, actually, you can't see it, but that bookcase over there, my first ever introduction to Black Library was the Gaunt's Ghost series. Um, or at least that's what I remember, because I remember reading Gaunt's Ghost and Eisenhorn all kind of at the same time when I was in high school and college. So, um, those were definitely my two favorite book series. And then, of course, it expanded to other stuff. You know, I enjoyed. I enjoyed the Macarian series and all that stuff. But yeah, most, like I said, you can't see it from over there, but the I have a very extensive Black Library collection, um, and a very extensive Star Wars collection. Now that I come to think about it, um, I have like a majority of the Dark Horse comics before they became discontinued, and then Legends before Disney bought them out. And then I have a lot of the expanded universe on paperback. So, again, that was before Disney bought them out, bought out Lucasfilm and all that stuff. Not to say that I don't mind the Disney canon and all that stuff. They've definitely made some fantastic bangers in movies. I don't like the sequels, but um, my daughters do, and they'll occasionally watch the sequels, or they'll watch Bad Batch, or um, the Clone Wars. You know, they'll watch that, and um, they like it, or Star Wars Rebels, which was it's hit and miss. The first season was definitely a slog. I haven't read too much Black Library myself, only the Night Lords trilogy, a short story called Oubliette. But I am interested in starting the Eisenhorn series. So I'm gonna let you know. Um, the Eisenhorn series. I'm not gonna say it's a little dated, but you can see where the lore changed. Um, you can see where the lore changes, right? Between when it was kind of amorphous in third edition, very not hard, very not like nailed down, and then as it progressed into recently, because you have the Eisenhorn series, which was I think 1990s, so during second, third edition, and then you have um, Ravener, which is like early 2000s to mid 2000s, and then you have Beckwin, which is uh, the start of like the 2010s, and then just recently you have the Magos and the Penitent, which is the second part of Pariah. So you definitely can see, and it's the same in Gaunt's Ghosts. You can see the lore change from First and Only to the Anarch, uh, the end of the series. So within that, 50, I want to say it's 15 books, but for Gaunt's Ghost, within that 15 book story arc, you have a massive lore shift where things were kind of amorphous when it came to what was considered lore or canon to now. Because I think the Anarch came out in 2019. Um, so, and that was, I think, before. I think that's fine. It's just 40k lore in general. Those things uh, didn't things didn't used to be codified. 100% things weren't codified. Um, and that's one of the things that when you talk about the lore of 40k, and you've got these people online that like, oh, the lore shouldn't change, and you shouldn't add this or you shouldn't add that because it goes against the lore. It's like, buddy, the lore has changed since the 80s. I mean, you look at other IPs and their lore has changed dramatically. Some things have stayed the same, uh, but um, other things have changed radically. We'll take we'll take an IP like Dungeons and Dragons, right? I've played Dungeons and Dragons since 2019. Or sorry, not 2019, 1996. Um, the last time I DM'd was 2019. Um, but Dungeons and Dragons, I want to think it came out in the early 80s. So we'll take the character class, the Paladin, right? Paladins was a subset of fighter, and you could only be human. You could only be, or sorry, yeah, you could only be human. You could only be, um, uh, what's it called? You could only be human. You could only be lawful good, and then this is perfect. I'm painting my first army, and you pop up. Oh well, thank you very much. Normally it's the Twitch chat that's going off, but YouTube is. I appreciate you guys who follow me on YouTube and subscribe and all that stuff. That it means a lot. Um, my first time painting my first army, coincidentally too. Oh well, thank you. Yeah, only lawful good. And then like you couldn't do ignoble acts, and like your paladin code was super strict. Um, and then second edition came, paladins changed uh, from only human to human, elf, and dwarf. And then third edition, it changed again to all races. Uh, and then fourth edition, it changed again to you could be variants of good, right? You could be neutral good, chaotic good, lawful good. And then fifth edition is where you got introduced to the um, variants of all the, like, you've got lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good, lawful neutral, right? And then, of course, with the black handers, the oath breakers, and all that stuff, lawful evil. Um, but yeah, so like just simply that, to wrap that up, that's a lot of change. So, uh, lore and whatnot. Anyway, YouTubers pushing Warhammer hard to us video gamers. I think I'm gonna buy some minis too. Thank you, thank you. So, um, I don't necessarily push 40K. I let's see. I got into 40K 2002, 2003. Um, and uh, really, I fell in love with the setting. I loved the stories. I loved the game. The game was amazing and whatnot. Um, and uh, I loved the aesthetics. But recently, since I've been in the military, um, I use it. Um, I use it to help me with uh, um, kind of channeling some of my nervous energies and um, my deployment related PTSD. Um, and that's why I've been doing the channel, right? If you see it in the YouTube description, I'm raising money for charity for refugees, and that part of that, my PTSD was not necessarily combat related. It was deployment related in the fact of I did, um, you know, I saw refugees and I couldn't help them, and that um, so that's why um, I loved painting then, but now painting has taken on a new meaning. So I'm disabled with stage 4 metastatic, so it's a hobby to kill my abundance of time. Yeah, yeah. Regardless, thank you for your service. Don't thank me. Don't thank me. I always loved being in the military. My father was a Air Force navigator on a B-52, and you know, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to serve. I wanted to commission, but that path was not as easily obtained as I thought it was going to be. And this was again back when college was getting very expensive, and I was gambling, not gambling. I was hoping I was qualify for a ROTC scholarship. I did not, and mainly it was because I struggled with mathematics. I couldn't get above a C minus D plus when it came to like algebra, and unfortunately, the college that I was going to was very math centric, or at least the subject I was going to was very math centric, which is psychology. And you wouldn't think that psychology required a lot of math, but it actually does, because um, you need to learn statistics and some calculus in order to see if your like the studies that you're referring to and the numbers that you're seeing are correct. And when it comes to like peer review and all that stuff, you don't necessarily want to um, when you're looking at like medical journals, when they talk about, oh well, this is the charts that we're seeing, this is the numbers that we're seeing, these are our samples and all that stuff. When it comes to those like scientific studies, you want to see if they're cooking the books, and statistics help you to see if they're cooking the books, or to see if the sample size that they're not necessarily cooking the books, but maybe the study is wrong because the sample size is too small, or correlation does not always equal causation, and you would work that out. Um, so I wanted to go into the officer corps. I didn't. I couldn't afford the degree. Um, my sister was going through college. My other family members were about to enter college, so I tried to pay my way and not take out a bunch of student loans, and it didn't work out. But I love being enlisted. I love being in security forces, which is the Air Force military police, and you know, and I've gotten to go all around the world, Japan, England, all that stuff. So, um, it's definitely I suck at math, also, my dude. Don't feel bad. Well, I I worked at it, and I had to have my brother, because my brother's a genius, help me understand math in order for me to get my associate's degree. And I'll probably need his help again to get my bachelor's, um, because I will need some more algebra and statistics and all that stuff, in order to pass. But yeah, I always like getting people. I always like seeing people um, getting involved in the community, or and learning their people's walks of life. D&D taught me math to be better than any schooling. Facts. Facts. 3.5 and 3.5 D&D taught me how to make magic math rocks go clickety clack. Clickety clackety, I roll a tackety. But let's see, we got a sisters player, we have a chaos player. Um, who else do we have on here? Marcosaur, kill team. Really want to do some small unit stuff, kill team, or should I remember Thaco age myself? Oh my god, Thaco. Oh, gross. Thaco was awful. I'm so glad they switched to just regular AC. Oh my lord. When you have Matt Mercer, probably one of the better GM DMs of our time. I'm pretty sure there's somebody else. having the hardest time explaining what THACO is, you know you made a complicated system. Thank you, Yanushai. Uh, them, yeah, them old school days of D&D were so bad. I'm so glad I got recommended this. I'm not gonna lie, wholesome ass content. I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you. Don't forget, if you like what you see and you want to support the channel, I do gaming, I do paint streams, all that stuff. You can, I mean, hell, you've got, we're currently at, if I remember correctly, let's see how many you have. 160, sorry, 655 videos. So hours of content, and some of it's bad. I'll be honest. Some of it is when I just started out. Ooh, it was bad. Oh, yikes, it was awful. Um, but you know, and some of it's good. Um, but you could see. I think hell, I think the yeah 7 years ago was when I did the D&D campaign and all that stuff. Um, yeah, that was yeah 7 years ago. My God. And it's a small channel. It really is. It's a small channel. I don't. I know it's niche. I. I fancy myself to be. As a streamer or maker of bad content in the past, it gets better with time. No, I know. I know. I know. But the point I'm trying to make is that um, uh, I don't fashion myself like a Markiplier or on the D&D side a critical role creator or whatever. So uh, you're getting somebody that treats the my streams as a hobby to raise money for charity. Oh my God, who donated? I just saw the ticker go up. Who donated? Yan. Oh, he left and I didn't see it. I didn't see it until just now. Yan, I appreciate you. Ah. Oh, thank you so much, Yan. Oh, I appreciate anyone who gives money, and that means a lot. That really does. Anyway, Spa 2. Been playing since 1996. Started with Chaos. Now I'm Age of Sigmar. Cruel Boys. YouTube recommended you. Well, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm trying to read the comments and finish my ideas, finish my thoughts as it comes. Um, we're still, 5%. That's not bad. That's not bad. Ah, I can't believe that alert didn't pop the way it did. I'm gonna have to troubleshoot that. All right, where was I? Okay, yeah, let's get back to painting. Anyway, so for all you new painters, what I was talking about earlier was when you start painting, you always want to coat the brush just a tiny little bit. Let me just rotate so you can actually see it. You want to coat the brush just a tiny bit. Well, now it's not gonna. Now the camera's not gonna want to cooperate with me. Let's go figure. As you can see, it's just lightly coated, and then you take your model after it's lightly coated, and you just sometimes you want to partially assemble them. Sometimes you want to leave them on the sprue. There's no wrong way to paint a model. There really isn't. And just gently brush. And don't worry about making mistakes, because whenever you start painting, right? Whenever you start painting, you're learning baseline techniques, and really painting is trial by error, or trial and error, or trial by error, depending on how you see yourself. So you just gently let the paint kind of pull off the brush. Let it coat the model. Guide it where you can, but don't force it. Particularly if it's thin, if your mixture is fairly thin, which is fine. Thin paints are fine. When I had hundreds of dollars in models to practice for my Warhammer models. I'm not that great. I'm getting better. I've touched Warhammer models. I got a ton of practice. Well, practice is good. Practice is always good. You just look around, make sure that you got everything, and there we go. I'll get the next one. Always want to shake. I want to shake model, shake your paints every once in a while, just to make sure that the paint doesn't sit, right? Especially if you're using it. Okay, just focus on that paint, right? Just focus on it. Let the paint kind of pull off the brush. Try and get it coated, but you don't have to worry. Nice and easy. Again, that's the thing with painting is that it, particularly in the hobby, is that it can be really soothing. You can kind of think about, work through some of the issues that you've been going through in your mind, and as you're painting, as you're focusing, and just kind of work through them. And yeah, you might have some strong feelings as you're painting. If you do want to use your painting as part of your therapy, I'm not recommending it for everybody because it doesn't always work for everybody. Sometimes you just need to talk to someone. And I will always recommend talking to a licensed practitioner, a licensed therapist. Okay, mental health is super important. But if for whatever reason you can't talk to anybody, or the availability of care is not there, find that outlet, find that means of expressing yourself. And I think painting is one of the, in my mind, is a really good way of expressing yourself. I must go to sleep, but I'm going to watch this as I lay down. Thanks for the soft sounds as I doze off. Really appreciate it. Well, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate the fact that you discovered me. It's certainly um, uh, it is a humbling experience hearing that you guys enjoy it. Dealing with cancer treatment. Yeah, trust me. I didn't think, and I'm kind of thankful. Like Warhammer and D&D and all that stuff and gaming. I'm thankful because, particularly with the painting, is that it allows me to think, like I said, really augment the stuff that I'm dealing with. And I'm a little bit, I'm going to be honest with myself, I'm a little frustrated that it took me this long to get back into painting. From my PCS from Japan to California, but now that I'm back in, I'm actually quite happy. Well, as happy as I can be. And plus, I've got a lot of models that need to be painted and built and all that stuff, so I'm going to take the opportunity that's given. Lets me shut off my brain and focus on something else. Yep. Totally can relate to that feeling. And the good thing about painting is that sometimes when you paint a model that you've never painted before, you can kind of hear the model speak to you in one way or another. Um, well, actually, let me show you what I mean. So, I recently painted my first Primaris Psyker because I really didn't have one. I really didn't have a Psyker. I bought a Psyker secondhand that was already pre-painted, and it's fine. But I didn't paint one. Here. But I didn't actually build and paint one until just recently. Let me just... Oh, we almost had her. And this is what I mean by the model speaks to you. So this is the Primaris Psyker I have. And I'm actually really proud of the way she turned out. Come on, focus in. I'm actually proud of the way she turned out. Now, I didn't get the pupils the way I wanted, but that's okay. I was experimenting with the psionic abilities, right? And the one thing I will say is I did not know exactly how she was going to turn out until I started painting her. And then I had like this voice of how she sounds and what she does and where she kind of sits within the hierarchy of the brigade of my or not the brigade, well, the brigade of, and then like what she does. Palm stuff you did is nice. Well, thank you. And with her glove. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I, I kind of let her speak to me per se. And I modeled her slowly after, because here's my company commander or the brigade commander for the guardsman unit. So I kind of modeled it off of, she's part of the officer corps, just trying to get us a good side by side. She advises him, um, you know, the dress blues uniform mixed with the white for the nobility, because she's part of the noble class of Terra. And my particular guardsman regiment is a storm brigade from Terra. Now that most of the Imperial Guard force, most of the forces of Terra are mobilizing, that's where, that's where. So this was a unit that is from Terra, Holy Terra, right? It is an Imperial Guard unit from Terra, so they get better stuff, right? Because they're from the Holy Planet and all that stuff. Um, so yeah, very much a definite, um, very much a definite like. Having a model that you've never done before speak to you like that is really kind of cool. Um, so, uh, but yeah, sometimes when you paint, hi Quackamo, how are you? He joins us on Twitch. Thank you, Death Cube, for joining us. Thank you, Joking Plays Games, for joining us. Thank you, everybody who signed up. And so YouTube is where a lot of my video. It's like my video repository, because every live stream. Um, I love it when I was assembling sisters. I had a model that did that. Just went with the um, flow, and she ended up dual power sword wielder. Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm chilling at work, waiting for time to pass. Well, as long as you're able to relax, and as long as I'm able to provide a good source of entertainment, Guacamole, you're always welcome on the stream. Um, for those of you that are curious what you're seeing the Twitch chat. I wish I could link both YouTube and Twitch to show up at the same time. I still don't know how to do that. I'll try and figure it out a little later. But um, I always like it when people can chat at the same time. Let's get some green. And we're using some Catachan green because that's the base uniform color for my guardsmen. It's tricky. Yeah. It very much is. And I'm dual streaming because YouTube has such a high threshold for monetization, and I'm trying to get there. And again, the reason why I'm aiming for monetization is because I want to turn both Twitch and YouTube into a charity channel where I donate. Because, like I said, the Air Force pays my bills. Sure, if I get big enough, will I use some of the stream revenue or the ad revenue to defray some cost? Sure, absolutely. I'm not, but a majority of it will go to the charities that I champion. That's always been the goal. It's Sunday here. Nothing to do. Watching series. It's since yesterday. Oh, well. Oh, the green that's actually blue. Well, it's Catachan green, right? Or Castellan green now. Here, let me. That's the actual paint that it looks like. The blue that I use for the blues dress uniforms is, I want to say, McCrag. Yeah, McCrag blue. That's what I want to say. But so, to tell you what kind of my army's color scheme, it's based off of um, Air Force Security Forces Operation Safe Side uh, during the Vietnam era. Let's see if I can pull up the the official uniform that I'm. Yeah, there we go. Copy image address. Let's see if I can't populate it into the chat. There we go. So if you click on that, you'll see the actual um, like uniform that I'm going for. So that is when the security forces became security forces or security police, um, and that's the kind of been the goal, is to one kind of an homage to my actual career, my duty career, my duty choice, and then two, to respect those who've gone before me and all that stuff. So they have the green olive drab dress uniform, um, or battle uniform. They have the blue berets, and then to somewhat modernize it, they have the coyote brown straps, to represent like the military of today. Um, and then with the OCPs, and then uh, next time I work on Sunday, I'll bring some. Well, don't do that if you're gonna get in trouble. I always say, like, I don't mind if everyone paints with me. I really do appreciate it, but don't do it if you're gonna get in trouble. What trouble? My job ends in a month and I don't care anymore. Oh, you should always care. You should always care. Um, The reason why I say that is because you always want to end on a high note, or at least end on a note on a decent note to where um, like when you get your new job, people aren't bad mouthing you from your old job site. It's one of those things where you kind of have to play the game, play the system a little bit. Um, got to play nice until you finally leave that job site, and then you can say, yeah, whatever. Anyway, but anyway, we're just working on this paint. Taking our time, making sure that what we're doing is we can kind of repeat the process, and not only just repeat the process, but make it be sustainable, right? Sustainability is key because there is such thing as burnout, right? I know, but I do my job. I do them. It's more than enough. Okay, all right. Well, I'm not chastising you, man. I'm just, I'm looking out for your best interests. Anyone who becomes a member of my channel, I genuinely care about, because I want to see you succeed. I want to see everybody succeed. Um, but I also want to see the members of my channel succeed because I'm batch painting an entire Cruel Boys spearhead. It's actually a fun way of doing this. 18 models. Although I'm gonna do the ballistas separately. Well, okay, all right, good. Yeah, I'm assembly line painting it myself. I might take a few holidays at the end of the month. Got some free days to spend. Oh well, do it, do it. And just as a reminder, um, I do greatly appreciate the likes, the comments, the shares. I appreciate the engagement. If you subscribe, I appreciate the subscribe. I've got over 1900 points of Sisters to Paint and a Castigator. Whew. That's a hell of a backlog. But I don't consider it a backlog as more of like opportunity. And ask Guacamole. I've helped out. Um, if you're stuck on a design, I've helped out when it talks to um, like lore. I helped Guacamole out. I love theory crafting um, all kinds of lore for people to watch and play and all that stuff. Um, I really do. I enjoy theory crafting about armies what they are, where they came from, what their primary goal is. Um, I really do enjoy that. Hey, if they complain, I'll tell them I've really been late. I've done my job, if not all the time, and I've even came in while sick and stuff. Yeah, you. I remember you saying that you were like under the weather a couple of times, and you just didn't want to call in. Uh, just know that when you cash those chips in, right? Um, do it in a way that's not spiteful. Um, like I said, you never want to. I still got to finish my sister's army and start my goblin. It keeps me busy outside of socializing, not being able to work, normalizing being working since I can't anymore. Yep. No, I get it. I do have to say, sometimes collecting models and building them does feel like a chore, particularly when you've got like a regiment of guardsmen to slog through or whatnot. Um, and then, of course, when I started this channel, I collected other armies because people were getting sick and tired when I started filming battle reports. Um, People were getting kind of sick and tired of just watching guardsmen versus dark angels or guardsmen versus like whoever was around. So I collected some orcs, I collected some dark eldar, I collected some sisters of battle, like the old pewter model sisters of battle before the refresh. I collected, hell, I collected a lot of stuff. Um, and there was and then the army rotation became better. So but now that I've collected so much, it's like, oh, I gotta slog through and paint. And I say slog as in like I am not a fast painter. I'm not a fast painter. There are people that can speed paint an army within like 24 hours. Uh, I tried that. I really did, and I got halfway through. Halfway through an army, I think. If well, maybe a quarter of a way through, if I'm being completely honest with myself. But if you like the content and if you want to support the channel, I am not compelling anyone to do so. Um, I would rather you give to the charities first before you give to me. But if you guys want to gift subscriptions, whether it's on Facebook, or whether it's on Twitch, or become a follower on Twitch, or subscribe on YouTube. I'm also streaming on Facebook as well, but that's just because it's easy content to produce. Um, and you can see like my Facebook stuff on Commissar Hecht. If you just type in Commissar Hecht, you'll find my Instagram, my Facebook, my Threads. I'm on Blue Sky. Although I'm not active on Blue Sky, I just have Blue Sky just in case Twitter dies. I'm on Twitter. Um, I have a Discord. The Discord isn't as active as I would like it to be, but it is. I do have a Discord. I normally use it to do community nights and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, thank you, Spa, for following. I've been tired of Hatchet Collection, build and paint. Yeah, and like I said, with every follow and interaction and like sharing, you know, growing the channel that way, it definitely helps. Like I said, I don't fancy myself a Markiplier or any of the other like big YouTubers like Mini War Gaming and Blue Table Painting or Striking Scorpion or Glacial Geek. Like those guys are heavy hitters. Um, I'm just a guy, just an active duty guy that um, loves what I do, wants to contribute, wants to give back to people, wants to help people who are less fortunate than me, um, particularly those that don't have a voice. Um, you know, give to those who are, who really need the help. That's the goal. And then if I meet awesome people like you guys along the way, I consider that good. Plus, another thing is that if I can share some of my experiences with people, um, uh, and prevent a lot of the heartache that I had trying to figure out this crazy thing called life, I definitely will feel like I've done better. Because it's being an older gentleman, you know, about to be 38 in October, and being a dad is, that's something that it has sharpened some of my perspective on life. And so if I can help people be better, give people a better opportunity than what I had, because that's like the standard parent thing, but like actually, you know, because I care about everyone that supports me. So not necessarily saying the parents stuff, but not necessarily I'm still in my prime. Ugh, sometimes I don't feel like I'm in my prime. Sometimes I feel like, uh, you know, curdled milk that's going to be used for cheese. Um, but yeah, as I was saying, like, you know, I don't see people necessarily as like children or anything, but if I can kind of give the same, if I can prevent some of the heartache I experienced to um and give people like the tools of success, I think I'll have done good. Thank you very much, Deathbringer, for following me. Welcome to the channel. What brings you to the channel? Or were you on YouTube and you decided to follow me on Twitch as well? Which is, I welcome both outcomes. I think it's these 40 Space Marines, so of course So these are not Space Marines. These are Imperial Guardsmen. There's a knife. Okay, so the hilt is brown. That's right. But still 40K. Appreciate the follow, though. And again, God, I hate the sniffles. Oh, I'm sorry you're feeling sick. Hard to tell with the lighting. Yeah, I'm working on the lighting portion. It's I don't have one of those arches that shines 180 degrees and does like the sunlight, natural lighting. But you know, you can see it now. And like I said, nice easy coating on the tip of the brush. And to get the, let me rotate that a little bit. Not that nice. Oh, I actually do need that. My eyes are not as good as they used to be. And with that nice little coating, you just gently on the hilt, because it's a leather hilt, gently paint that in. Nice and easy. Nice and easy, nice and easy paint. And there you go. Easy paint. Building painting, Twitch. I'm just getting back into 40Ks, starting with Sigmar and then going into Warhammer, or getting back into Warhammer. Well, welcome to the channel. A little bit about myself. This is a charity channel. I am trying to raise money for the UN HRC, which is the UN High Commission for Refugees. Let me pitch basically what the campaign is about, with the ongoing crisis in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Djibouti, and other conflict zones around the world, to include the Ukraine. Millions of people are displaced who need help and assistance. The UNHCR is dedicated to aiding those who are in desperate need of food, shelter, water, medicine, comfort, and a place free from persecution and tyranny. And as you can see, the ticker is right up there. And donate what you can when you can, but I don't force people to donate if they can't donate. So I appreciate those who do, and those who don't, it's okay, because you're still supporting the channel by watching, by liking, by following, by subscribing, and all that stuff. Sharing is free. Following is free. If you're on YouTube, subscribing is free. Building up a constant viewership base, that's free. And the goal is to turn both platforms into monetizable, which is what I'm doing, and give to those who are in need and less fortunate. So but I'm glad you're getting back into Warhammer. Warhammer is a really good game to play. It's a good system. It's fun. The community is, you know, can be really, really helpful at times and can be also. You should get into the old world. Well, I actually do have a bunch of Fantasy Empire that is sitting, waiting for me to build it and paint it. I didn't actually get into Warhammer Fantasy until just right before Age of Sigmar. I think it was like 4 or 5 months into Age of Sigmar, and I kind of regretted not buying a bunch of kits and all that stuff because I play D&D. So I use the models for D&D when I don't use them for Warhammer Fantasy. Mainly because they're square bases, so they kind of fit a square base map. And I actually have a bunch of old D&D minis, like this guy. Oh, damn. Like this guy. So D&D used to come out with miniatures like this, where you could use in battle games and all that stuff. Um, uh, so I have a bunch of these, and they're nice. They get the job done, but I kind of like the fantasy battles models a little bit better. Um, so yeah, there's that. Ah, Quackamo, thank you for joining me on YouTube too. That's greatly appreciated. Gravelords, which can do Sigmar in the old world. Ah, yes. Me and my buddy are painting later on today. Oh, well, good. And for those of you that are just curious, like streaming schedule and all that stuff, I stream on California time. So it's 1:25 hours here. I'll probably be ending it soon because I do need some sleep because my wife is taking my daughter to do Halloween shopping, and she's been really focused on my youngest, so this is like mom and eldest time, and that's like really important because I'd try and do daddy daughter day as well. I'll probably be doing that later on this week, hopefully. And if not this week, then definitely next week. Definitely next week. Because Transformers just came out, and I want to go see that. But she wants to go see Wild Robot. And I love. I'm a bit of a sucker. I'm going to be honest. I'm a bit of a sucker and a little bit of a softy for those, like, truly heartfelt, emotional pieces. And I think Wild Robot is gonna make me want to cry. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm such a softy when it comes to like movies that talk about potential and actualities and being okay with where you are emotionally. Those really like good emotionally intelligent movies for kids. I like
Oh, sometimes they just pull on the old heartstrings. Halloween is the best holiday. Yes, it is. It allows me to play test cosplays. If I were to choose a bloodline, it'd be monstrous Strigoi. So are you gonna try and get a vampire lord on dragon or Strigoi lord on dragon? I would say that's probably. I mean that's like gonna be a lot of points right there. I could only imagine. Could I do some walking around, stretch the legs, see a commissar? Well, I appreciate you, Quackamo, and thank you for joining the YouTube family as well. It means a lot, and I really do appreciate everyone that's joined so far. Oh, I gotta. The one thing I don't like about wheeled chairs on carpet. You gotta like pick it up and scooch it in. There we go. And like I said, you just slowly work on painting. Let the brush, let the paint kind of pull away from the brush. Gentle strokes. Figure out what you're going to do next. the model talk to you. Let it tell its story. And sometimes it's just a basic guardsman, right? Strokes, gentle strokes. Nope. Oh, because I had some on my thumb. Okay. Well, that's okay. Accidents happen. You can always fix them. There's nothing as a permanent mistake. And sometimes mistakes can give you a better understanding of what you need to do. That reminds me, seeing as it was on my thumb, did I smudge? I did not. About you, I did not. Okay, so it was just probably the bristles. It's just probably the bristles that I got. That's okay. That's all right. Mistakes happen. When mistakes happen, you can do one of two things. You can sit and get upset and get wound up, which is something that I have done in the past. I've gotten wound up pretty bad. Or you can accept that something happened, which I'm in the middle of trying to learn how to do that, because I'm not perfect. No one ever is, and I don't purport myself to be some sort of guru. But if I can at least pass on kind of my stream of consciousness when I talk and when I paint and when I kind of make these realizations, and they help you, then I've done good. And that's all that counts, is doing good and helping people out when you can, where you can. So when mistakes happen, you can either acknowledge that the mistake happened and then you just work from there, or you spin yourself up and become unproductive. And sometimes sometimes the body needs to spin itself up. And being unproductive isn't a bad thing, but getting out of the spiral or spiraling out of control is. But once you recover, once you're out of your spiral and you recover and you start leveling off and you start figuring out what to do next, what to do, like third, fourth order effects, how to recover that way, that's when you need to take a true inner look and feel of yourself and develop that ability. And that takes time. And like I said, I'm still on that path. I'm still on that process of figuring out how to acknowledge some of the emotions that I have and whatnot, mental health wise, and I'm not in ideal situations all the time, and how to figure out the best way to handle a non-ideal situation and where to go from there and all that stuff. It's a struggle, but anything in life that's worth doing is going to be a struggle, and that's the true measure of it. I go back and we see some of the mistakes that we made, and that's easy enough. We just make sure that there's no left over, and there isn't, which is good. And then we just kind of quickly go over it. And like that, it's done. That's fixed. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Easy brushes. Easy strokes. And there we go. Nice and zen. Just kind of one as you work. One as you work. Any mistakes you made, you can clean up, which is fine. Mistakes are easy to fix, especially on models. And hell, on canvas, if you decide to work with canvas, or if you're like drawing any sort of like digital art, mistakes are easy to fix. But then, it also can give you opportunity. Can give you some opportunity. Practicing new technique, working with a new medium, practicing fundamentals within those new mediums. It's all nice and easy work. Well, I say nice and easy. Sometimes art in general can be difficult, but anything worth doing is going to be difficult. And if it comes natural to you, awesome. And if it doesn't necessarily come natural and you have to like grind at it, that's good too. That's okay. Nice and easy work. Nice and easy work. There we go. And like I said, we'll clean up. We'll clean up when we can, where we can. Oh Lord. I'm just going to take a quick little break. Rest my eyes a little bit. I might stream for another 30 minutes, maybe another hour, just because um, I do have to get some sleep. Like I said, gotta wake up when my wife does and make sure that my youngest is taken care of while my wife is having um, mom and daughter day with with my eldest. All right, step away real quick. Be right back. Sorry, just checking on some stuff. Alright, one more thing. Back to it. Let's see if I can at least get all the leather done. That'd be kind of an accomplishment. Slow start, but an accomplishment nonetheless. thank everyone who has joined and is joining me for this particular live stream. It means a lot to me, and I am very much humbled by the fact that you've chosen to stay and watch and chat with me. I like to get to know the people that enjoy my content and want to support what I do, because I think that every person that likes what I do, and every person is unique and wonderful and brings their own ideas and passion and creativity. But I think that is kind of doubly so when someone wants to support this channel and the mission that this channel provides or wants to provide. So thank you everyone who have joined and who are joining, and share this stream and share all the social medias and all that stuff. That's super important. I am both honored and humbled. And like I said, I like to get to know everyone that chooses to support the channel. For those of you that are joining and you're just curious as to what I'm working on, I'm working on the leather for my Imperial Guardsmen. Whether it's the brown leather pouches or the leather hilt to their knives. That's what I'm working on. Thank you, Wyvern Wyvernacular? Wyvernacular? Appreciate you. Just chilling while building an X-Wing kit. Oh, yeah, I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Actually, a little bit about myself. That was really my first big fandom, was Star Wars. Huge passion. Huge passion. I just fell in love with that universe. I really did. Now, is this X-wing kit that you're building, is it pre-painted, or can you paint it up? Is it the T65? Um, I want to say it was the B, the T65B. Bandai Kit Red 5. Oh, okay, all right. So probably comes pre-painted. Planning on painting. Oh, so it's not pre-painted. Oh, cool. Are you going to paint it up Red 5, or are you going to paint it up another squadron? Because you have Rogue, you have Wraith, you have Blue, you have Gold, uh, you have Rancor, you have a few others that I can't remember. Dagger Squadron's all B-Wings, so it wouldn't be part of Dagger Squadron. I'm pretty sure Wraith was a mix of B-Wings, X-Wings, and A-Wings. Gray Squadron was all Y-Wings. Green Squadron was all A-Wings. Gold was all Y-Wings uh, until after the Battle of Endor. Or not Battle of Endor, Battle of Yavin. Rogue Squadron was all X-Wings for the most part. They had a few Y-Wings in there. Blue Squadron, I think, was X-Wings and Y-Wings. Well, it was X-Wings for Scarif, and then I think it moved to Y-Wings for after the Battle of Yavin. If I remember correctly. It's been a while. Although I do have all the books right over there, all the extended universe ones at least, the expanded universe, not the Disneyverse stuff. Though I did mention Scarif, so that is Disneyverse. Oh Lord. Ooh. Our red finds what comes with paint, some molded red parts. Just need to add a few things and grime it up. Oh, okay, all right. So it does come semi pre-painted. Oh, that's okay. Trust me, sometimes I wish some models, especially in Warhammer models, came semi pre-painted. It would take some of the guesswork out of what you wanted. Although, like, depending on the person, some people it's like, oh, I want to paint it all one color or whatever the case is, or all one vibe. Which, again, not an issue. It's your army. Paint it the way you want it. Oh no. Good Lord. I don't know if I could do another hour. I'm going to try. I am going to try. Used to collect Catachan back in the early 2000s. Guard can be a pain sometimes. Yes and no. Like, it all depends on, like, how you go about it, right? Because, like, way back when, you could make an elite guard force for 2,000 points, especially in the early 2000s. Because I started in 2000s, and you can make a pretty elite guard force that had carapace armor, stormtroopers as grenadiers, and hardened veterans. You know, you could all give them like special weapons, kit them all out, give them all power swords or power fists. Sharpshooters, especially the third edition guard book where it's like heavy doctrine related and all that stuff. So you could run a pretty elite guard army, so you wouldn't have to paint as much, and they could go toe to toe with like Space Marines and other units that normally, if you had an armor 5, say bolters and Tau plasma pulse rifles and all that stuff, Necron Gauss flares would just incinerate you. So it was always nice to have a save. And then with sharpshooters, re-rolling ones was always good too. But yeah, with the new iteration of guard, it's more line infantry and semi horde army. I mean, for my 2000, oh, excuse me, for my 2,000 point guard army, it's 10, or not 10, but 6 infantry squads and 3 stormtrooper squads. So that's 90 models right there. And that's not including the headquarters units and you know the support units like the tanks and the artillery and all that stuff. Like it can be a lot. Yeah, I would like to see some shake up so guard don't have to swarm. Well, like I said, it's one of those things where um, I really wish they brought back hardened veterans, particularly hardened veterans that. Oh, that's why I'm getting all that paint. Particularly hardened veterans that can that have 4 up armor save and can punch a little bit above their weight class. Um, like ultimately, what I would love to have is hardened veterans that could either take carapace armor or camo cloaks that can take special weapons, 3 special weapons, and a heavy weapon, and there's your fire base, right? And that those 3 special weapons could be grenade launchers, plasma guns, meltas, and then your heavy weapon could be a lost cannon or a missile launcher, and they just sit on an objective and just beg for someone to you know, come screws with them. Um, just beg for somebody to come. And then while you're worried about while you're worried about enemy tanks, you have to then worry about the small arms. You can't just leave the small arms fire to be just ignored. Um, Hell, one of my hardened veterans squads, actually, all my hardened veteran squads either had a mix of plasma guns and grenades, and then either missile launcher or lost cannon, and you just kind of if the tanks got popped, I still had anti-tank abilities, which was nice. And then my stormtroopers would just rush out and try and claim objectives, and they were always like grenadiers or grenade launchers or plasma guns. They're not necessarily melta guns, because I felt like melta guns were too short range for the style of combat I was doing, but they were definitely spicy. Do I run a particular regiment? Well, um, when it was like in third edition, I just ran them as they came from Holy Terra, right? That was the kind of the story behind this regiment, is that they were Terrans from Holy Terra. They had the better equipment, which kind of give them the reason of like, oh, why they all have carapace armor, why they were all sharpshooters, why was their core hardened veterans. Why did the sergeants all have like bolt pistols and or plasma pistols and power swords, you know, all that stuff. And it was like, well, it's because they're from Terra. Um, but now, I think I'd do Vestroyan, because um, that mastercrafted weapon, unless they changed it, which it's been a while since I played, because I haven't played since 2019, because I was in Japan. And the Warhammer scene's like slowly getting introduced to Japan, but it's more in the South, um, that you see games and all that stuff. Um, there's not in the north of Japan, uh, in Omori. There's not like a place where you can have a table and play a game, unless you were either a part of the military base, which is why I was in Misawa. I was with the 35th Security Forces Squadron, or let me just get rid of this paint that's on my finger so I don't smudge it on the. There we go. I don't smudge it on the model. Um, or you just happen to look out and know a buddy that had a battle board that you could set up and play. They really didn't have clubhouses where they had battle boards ready to play like local game stores. Um, the most you had up in Misawa in a Mori prefecture area was a few rogue traders that had like that generic rogue trader paint stand with a few models and a few books, and that was about it. And unless they knew exactly kind of what they had, um, they didn't restock it much, uh, and that was about it. I think the only place that restocked their shelves was American Paradise, and that was like hit or miss, because they could restock it with like older models, and then you could be like, oh man, I could collect some of these older models, or they restock with the new stuff, but the new stuff was all in Japanese, and you were just like, well, I can't buy this rulebook. Hey, Russ. My ear. So, to answer your question, it was um, the particular regiment I run. It's just generic guard for right now, until I find a regiment that kind of matches my playstyle. As of now, there are no more regiments, just styles of armor and a uniform. Yeah, just styles of armor or uniform. Yeah, that's kind of like I get that 40K is trying to get streamlined and cut a lot of fat, but I just don't like the fact that they've cut a lot of fat and then cut some bone too. I get that they're trying to get new people to play, and streamlining games is certainly a way to encourage people to play, encourage new players to play, and to get involved. But at the same time, it's like the only way you're going to encourage people to get involved is stop the the very massive uh, price increases that you guys do all the damn time. Like if Games Workshop lowered some of the prices of their models, and they weren't always. I mean, I understand that companies have what's called fiduciary responsibility. I think they went straight to the bone and missed a lot of fat. um, like companies have fiduciary responsibilities, and I get that, and like particularly when you talk about a niche company like Games Workshop, they want to make a lot of money because it is niche, and in order to survive, particularly in this day and age, you have to once you have a captive audience, you have to make sure that that player base is going to be captive for quite a while. But the issue I have, and this is kind of what gives me my heartburn, is that it's like, oh, you know, GW is raising prices because of like supply chain issues, and that's fine. I'm not stupid. I can read the newspaper and see the supply chain issues that GW runs on a daily basis. But at the same time, you can't tell me um, that GW is running into supply issues and all that stuff when they have record-breaking profits. I mean, so much so that last year they gave every employee that was a Games Workshop employee a 2,500 pound bonus. And I don't know what that was like in American money for the American stores, but in the British stores, they gave everybody a 2,500 pound bonus. Which again, I'm down with that. I love the fact that they do that. I love the fact that they like actually pay their workers, living wage basically. But at the same time, it's just like, I, greed for greed's sake. It never sits well with me. In Australia, the price jump uh, makes it hard to justify buying any army. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like you're already getting murdered. Like depending on where you live, it's like you're not gonna like a box of soldiers is almost $70. That's depending on where you are economically. That's gas and food. That's that's at least $30 in the tank and $30 in your stomach twice. You know, so um, and that's just one box, right? Uh, and then you have to do the armies, and then or sorry, then you have to get the rule books, and then you have to get the army rule books, and then you have to get the paints and the brushes, and yeah, you can buy some knockoff stuff and all that stuff, but it's not, you know, Citadel paints are better on Citadel models. I don't care what anyone thinks about Army Painter and Vallejo and all that stuff. It's just I I I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not a purist in that sense, but it's just, I, I, I'm not I think Citadel paints look better on Warhammer models and whatnot, in my opinion. Excuse me, I'm gonna just wash my paint pot real quick because it seems to be bleeding out a lot of paint for no reason. Two thin coats is pretty darn good. Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, um, I know that there are alternatives. I just think that Citadel paints are really good. Um, I really do. But anyway, as I was saying, um, I understand that GW has a fiduciary because they're a business. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make as much money as possible for their shareholders and all that stuff. But my argument is that, and I understand that GW is also like trying to build a lot of major infrastructure. Um, Games Workshop is building like two, I think, one more factory in England, and they're trying to bring everything home. They're trying to bring everything back to either inside Europe or inside the UK. Um, because of like all the turmoil and stuff with China, because a lot of their paper products have been shipped, were outsourced to China, and a lot of the stuff in particularly within Europe, within like the Ukraine-Russian war. Uh, um, so like they're trying to move stuff back. Supply chains are getting disrupted all over the world, so they're trying to move back to the UK. So they're investing in infrastructure. But what I would do if I was Games Workshop is, after the massive amounts of profits that I've been making and the massive amounts of infrastructure I've invested, I would do maybe like 1 or 2 more years of the large profit margins after the infrastructure's like been developed and you're generating that revenue, and you're cutting your overheads that way. And again, I don't know how feasible this is, and I am not a business major. But what I would do as GW is I would say, okay, we have like throttled forward on profits and all that stuff. Now we're going to throttle back a little bit and push some of the savings on to the customer. And I think that they would get more people in. Like if the bar was not so astronomically high, I think that they would actually dominate the because they're at a tipping point where it's so expensive to invest into Warhammer. It just really is. And they'll reach a critical mass to where it's like either it's the death of the company or only the the majorly rich will buy it, and then it'll become more niche and more niche and more niche until no one can play. And so, in order for Games Workshop to survive, into the next 10 years or so, yeah, I'm with you there. In order for GW to survive in the next 10 years or so, in my opinion, once they're done with setting up all this infrastructure and whatnot, because of all the supply chain disruption and whatnot, they should throttle back a little bit. I mean, the shareholders are gonna get their cash. They're gonna get their cash, but they should throttle back just a fraction, a hair, or not even a hair, not even a fraction. They should throttle back like I don't know, 10%, and watch as new people. Because here's the thing: if you guys hadn't noticed, when Space Marine 2 became really popular, right? A lot of the gamers were like, "Oh, I kind of want to get into Warhammer." And on Twitter, you had people saying, "Why would I pay $200 for plastic models?" Like, people were asking that. They're like, "I love Space Marine, but I'm not going to pay $210 for plastic models that I now have to build, paint, and assemble." Right? And you had that. Sorry, I'm taking a break from a little bit of the painting. I'm just trying to rest my eyes. But um, uh, you had that kind of visceral reaction of, "Oh my God, why people spend that much money?" And that was just like the box set of 40K, the Leviathan box set. That wasn't like what is also on the website, which is like Forge World models and other models that are very very expensive. So that's why I'm like kind of not shocked, but that's why it's just like when you have a new pool of players saying, "Oh, I really want to get into the game of 40K," not just the computer games, not just Total War Warhammer, but the actual tabletop, and then they get the slap in the face of, "Oh my God, this is expensive. I would never buy X, Y, and Z. That's too much money." That's a bit of a flag. You're already preventing those new people gotten exposed because of Dark Tide and Space Marine 2 and Total War Warhammer 3. You're shutting them down from becoming part of the hobby. And so again, if I was GW, if I was GW for a day, I would make an announcement that says, "Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to, you know, we understand all of these price hikes. We are trying to solve it organically, holistically through shrinking our supply chains and hiring locally and all that stuff. And then once that happens, and once we feel that we're in a good place, we're going to bring the prices down. And we're not going to bring the prices up every X amount of like 2-3 years." And I understand that they came out the last time the price hike is like, "Look, we're losing money on certain things." It kind of beggars belief, but at the same time, it's like, okay, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I don't know. But if I was GW, I would like especially because Warhammer Plus is getting popular. Space Marine 2, any sort of Warhammer game that comes out that's really hyped. Like, I don't know. I think GW could chill for a little bit on the price hikes or scale back or do what a lot of businesses do and have sales and get people hooked that way. Be like, "Hey, we're going to have a sale on these particular armies or these particular factions. Uh, get them while you can." And that would encourage people to buy potentially factions that they wouldn't necessarily want to buy, or not necessarily want to buy, but aren't interested in buying because they're focused on the faction that they like, or maybe they don't like, or maybe they don't know that they like that particular faction, so they're like, "Ah, man, I don't want to just sink more money into it." But if there is a sale, hey, there you go. Eh, I don't know. I think I started playing Age of Sigmar because I could get an army for less than $400 versus 40K, where $400 is half an army without any options. Yeah, facts, facts, 100% facts. I mean, here, I'll put it to you like this. If I can find it. Oh, I don't know if I can. Hold on. No, I don't think I have them. What about it here? Nope. Damn. Oh, well, I'll do it this way. So, oh, no, that's not gonna work. Oh, maybe it will. Maybe it will. 21 pound, 34. Maybe it will. Okay, so actually, yeah, this will work. So this I bought back in like 2015. No, 2004, 2014 when I went to Texas for uh, 7 level school. When they had 7 level school, um, and it was $34, 34.99, so $35 for five. Right now, if you were to look at the Warhammer website, as soon as I'm able to log on, if it'll let me log on. If it'll let me log on. Holy crap. Why is this not wanting to work? gotta run. Nice to see you. Nice to see you in and painting, dude. Well, I appreciate you, Russ. Appreciate you a lot. Why is it doing this? It's not. Let me log in, and I know I'm doing it right. $45. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know why it's not letting me log in. Damn it, GW. Let me log in. It's because I'm talking shit. That's why. They can hear me. But yeah, so a $10 increase for the same models that they haven't changed at all. And you could be like, well, that's not bad. $10 for 5 models. Let me illuminate. Um, Imperial Guardsmen used to be in boxes of 30 for $30. So now it's going to bother me. Why? Great, now I got to do this. Oh. Okay. Ah, it's a suspicious activity. That's why. That's why I thought it was something else. It thought I was a bad guy. Well, I get it. Yeah, now Cadians. I mean, granted, the sprues are new, but Cadians are now $52 for only 10 of them. Whereas the old sprue Cadians, and even the old sprue Cadians were damn near $45 for only 10. All right. Well, 3 hours in. That's a good stream. Uh, I'm gonna I'm gonna probably end it here just because I do need to get some rest. Thank you everyone for joining. Spatu, appreciate you subscribing. Death Cube K, Jokin plays games. Um, thank you Deathbringer and Y Vernacular um, for joining. Seriously, you guys are awesome. Thank you, Van. Again, or sorry, thank you, Yan, for donating. That was cool. Really appreciate you. Didn't have to do that. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, I hope everyone has a lovely evening. My name is Commissar Hecht. If you like what you see, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, join my Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, um, Instagram. You'll see everything on. I think I have most of my socials on my YouTube. Yeah, I got the Facebook, but not the Instagram. Okay, well, we'll have to fix that. But I think I got Twitter. Yes, I do have Twitter. And yeah, thank you all very much for joining. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. We will continue painting. We continue painting the leather, and we got almost 15 done. Almost 15 done, and we'll do another 10, and then we'll do the backpacks. And then once we do the backpacks, we'll get everything done. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. And you can always message me offline if you're part of the Discord. The Discord's linked in the YouTube, and I can do, hold on, Twitch. I can just do that. There we go. So there's the Discord link on Twitch. And yeah, let's build an awesome community. So thank you all very much, and I will talk